I am right now, and we're seeing some interesting AR tech coming along. And so, as businesses or even just people of passions and interests want to connect with their audience or connect with could be customers or could be friends, could be whomever, we want to be able to create experiences for, again, whether it's our customers, our friends, and whatnot. So thank you, Roberto. So yeah, I mean, the adage in marketing is you need to go where your customers are, go where your audience is. And it's kind of funny to think back about like the phone book, right? You used to, list your business there, and that would be an important place to have yourself listed. Then, I don't know, early 2000s, it became a thing where you had to have a website. I mean, there's probably some last businesses still trying to getting a website. Social media became huge. People started a Facebook page, and then organically those pages didn't get much reach. So, Instagram, YouTube, just getting yourself where people are. People are on YouTube, great. We need a YouTube channel for our business, or where they are. And so, yeah, the metaverse, the spatial immersive worlds, like we are all right here, that's where people are going. So yeah, this is just a quick chart to kind of remind ourselves that, like, remember in mid 2000s, there really weren't smartphones and people did not use them. So businesses did not worry about reaching their customers on smartphones, but now it's a must, right? If your website is not mobile responsive, you're not gonna be able to reach your customers or potential customers. And yeah, the analog of this is actually the growth rate of VR headsets. So there's a doubling every year of the number of VR headsets sold. So this past year, Meta sold 8 million VR headsets. The year before was about 4 point something, and before that was 2 point something. So when you carry out this trend of a doubling of headsets sold every year, 5 years from now, there's going to be 250 million VR headsets sold. Yeah, so I wanted to go through some interesting examples. So you guys have probably heard in the media, so like Louis Vuitton has made a metaverse game. And Roberto, we'll just fly through these. These are some fun examples of brands putting themselves in the metaverse. Right, so here's Adidas. They put themselves in the metaverse. Here's Wendyverse. Here's Hyundai, they're on Roblox. And so one of the questions might come up is like, all right, so maybe I'm not really sold like why I build a world, but then like, what are you going to do in your world? What are people going to do in your world? I want to talk about that for a moment. I think it's really cool we're all here in VR networking because you can run events, you could do networking, you can educate people. I've seen a number of startups now where if you're selling physical products, you can demo and try them out and see them in VR, whether it's washing machines or sneakers. Gaming and fun, I mean, those are the most important things, is to have engagement, so that, it's like making an app on the App Store. Even if your business is not in the app building world, it's got to be fun and engaging and interesting, right? If someone shows up in this world and it sucks after 5 minutes and they leave, it's not really going to do anything. And you can see the beauty and care in which Roberto and VR networking has built this world, right? It's pretty impressive, and it, a lot of time and effort has gone into it, and it pays off. So yeah, there's any number of things. There's consulting, you can have meetings. Go on, Roberto, to the next slide. But basically, you could do whatever works for your business, whatever's actually your business is, or whatever will drive potential customers into your business. Let's move on to the next one. So where should you build a world? So here's a few places, right? So right now we're in alt space. So, Roberto is just a great inspiration and model for us all. Build the world right here in alt space. You can invite people into it. And we can be here doing any number of things, being at this event, networking with each other, and whatnot. Horizon world building app. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can build there and do there and see there. So that's a great one. VR chat maybe has a little bit of a different community. So it might not be the best place, but talk more about what you need to do to build these worlds. And then I want to be self-promotional but deep, of course. The app that we're building is another place you could build a world. So how do you build a world? Right. So the main challenge that we've seen is that it's pretty hard actually for building a world in a lot of these places. So here in AltSpace, Roberto, I assume he's had some help from some developers, or he's a wizard C# programmer himself. But there's some platforms where you need to be a programmer. So if you're not a programmer, or you don't have a budget to hire a programmer, it might kind of keep you away from certain places where you could build worlds. And then Horizon Worlds and our app as well are no-code platforms, so really it's more accessible to anybody. Let's go to the next slide. And yeah, I'll tell you quickly about Deep. We're designing it to be the easiest way for anyone to build an app in the metaverse. Sorry, a world in the metaverse. In fact, I want it to be so easy that my mom could build a world. So there's no code. It's pretty much drag and drop. Let's keep going. So it's easy. We're in open beta. We've had over 1,000 worlds created. We just had a really cool one built. I want to, if anyone wants to see, connect with me on LinkedIn. But yeah, there's new worlds being built every day. You can try it out and build one if you'd like. Yep. Oh yeah, so this is an example of the world I was just telling you about. It was pretty cool. It was built by an artist, and I really enjoyed it. So it's called Icy. I just posted it on LinkedIn and have a video, and yeah, it's really cool. The idea being that like anything you can come up with, even if it's not for business purposes, really everything is possible. So this world that we're in right now came out of Roberto's mind. It made sense for what we're trying to, the intention of VR networking, and so yeah, anything is possible. And here's a quick example. Oh wow, the GIF works. This is cool. So this is a GIF in a Google slide that's piping in here into VR, into Altspace. So yeah, this is just an example of how easy it is to drag and drop an item. And Horizon Worlds has similar functionality as well. You can go to the next one. And here's how easy it should be to change the look and feel of the world that you're in. This is what we're going for. Let's go to the next one. And yeah, that's our mission at Deep, is to empower humanity to build any world they want. I will warn you, there are some limitations. There's obviously some bugs, but the nice thing about Altspace here is it's fully customizable. So you can see Roberto's put some really nice signage and custom images and text and stuff like that. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's on our roadmap. So there's gonna be trade-offs no matter where you want to build. And yeah, add me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you guys. If you have any questions, or if I can help, we can answer some questions here as well. And what else did I have on there, Roberto? Is that near the end? Yep, here's some links if you want to connect with me. I could share this deck. I think we could put it in the Discord channel. And was that it? Yeah, so thank you guys. We'd love to discuss, and is there any questions, or I'm wondering if you guys have built any worlds. Thank you for the claps over there in the back. I appreciate it. That's Tino. Awesome, thanks Tino. Thanks guys. Oh, look at you. Feeling love. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, John.
So Tom has a question, and then followed by Tino. So Tom, go ahead.
Hey, so super quick, is there a way that we could have like a PDF or something like that of the presentation in actually of Alvaro's too in Discord?
Yeah, I could easily tell Alvaro, and Tom is part of the Discord, to just upload it into the events channel.
Be awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Tom.
No worries. Well, happy to.
And Tino, you're up.
Some thanks for the presentation, Tom. I had a question. So you had the slide about Meta's headsets that are increasing over time. Meta has a pretty good with standalone headsets. When you look at other competitors entering the market, or people using VR, you seeing that people are investing in? Are you seeing that growth as new users, or the current population saying, "Hey, I want to get my HTC Vive Focus or a Neo Pico," right? Are you seeing, is it audience actually growing with those increased numbers? Because I think I have a headset that's for 6 years old that it still works.
Yeah, it's a great question. Definitely there are a lot of new first-time users getting headsets. I think I remember in Christmas of this last year, so like 6 months ago, the most popular app on the App Store was like the Oculus app, because so many people for Christmas had gotten a new Quest headset. You needed to pair it with your phone. So there's definitely a lot of new users coming into it. And a large component of that is actually not only has the technology and the capabilities of the hardware gotten so much better, but also the cost is like plummeting, right? So now it's $300 for Quest 2. And I was talking to one guy a couple nights ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know." I thought, like, dude, it's less than a smartphone, right? I don't know how much an Apple iPhone is today, but it's like it's crazy. And they're doing it on purpose because obviously they want Meta wants more adoption. They want more people buying them. And I forget if they're breaking even or losing money. But yeah, I mean, it's picking up. The number of people who have used VR before is increasing. So and the use cases are increasing. The quality of the hardware. I don't know if you guys have seen Project Cambria, but that thing looks cool. It's higher end, so that's a over $800 product when they release it later this year. But that has mixed reality. Apple's been talking about, or they have been talking about. There's been a lot of like leaks about their headset coming out, which is pretty exciting. I think Google might be. I don't even know, right? But there's just yeah, definitely more people coming in, and the hardware is getting extraordinarily better, lighter, cheaper, faster. So I'm pretty jazzed about it.
Yeah, because I think the roadblock for a while was the standalone versus PC experience, right? And I still quite frequently see a lot of PC users that are here. They'll the Quest and Airlink it. And now I'm beginning to see a lot more people where they're like, "Hey, my first experience happens to be this trade show or so, and it's because I can pop into a standalone experience versus needing a high-end computer to run it."
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a huge trade-off for them to make it standalone because the processing power is so much less. Therefore, we get more of the, like the quality of graphics and stuff that we get is not as high as it would be if it were running on a PC. But being untethered from your computer is still liberating and allows you to do fitness and move around more naturally. I was talking to an old school like VR developer for a game studio who's been in the industry for like 15 years, and he was saying, when we went from the Rift to the Quest, he's like, it's one of the biggest, what do you call it? Biggest steps backwards in technology I've ever seen, because we went from, I forgot if he said millions or billions of, triangles and, the points on a polygon to like, 200,000, right? So the quality and what we could do in terms of like graphics and, what you're seeing, it definitely did go backwards, right? But it was a trade-off, a huge trade-off. But it's so much better, I think, being untethered to a computer, because then you can really move around. And this is becoming a big thing in VR. So it's pretty interesting, but I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm obviously very bullish and very much a fan.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, great questions, Tino.
Hey, Tino. It's a radio.
Hello.
You have the megaphone now. Hey.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep, hear you perfect.
Hey buddy, great presentation. Very excited to see you here today, just like the other speakers. I gotta ask, so I know it's probably early to ask this question, but with Deep, will it be multi-platform, multi-area uploadable? So if you create a world in one place, you can upload it to different places, or is it not there yet?
Yeah, totally. It's a great question. So both of those things are on our roadmap. So it will be multi-platform, and it will be that you can export your world and import anything into your world. But we've only been building for 6 months. So we were able to release the minimum viable product of the app. And it is an open beta, so there's probably bugs here and there. But yeah, that's part of the roadmap, and we will be doing that, especially with so much interest around Web3, crypto and NFTs and things like that. So it'll be really cool when it becomes fully customizable. So you can bring in any image or video or anything you want. And if you want to export it, I mean, I've had a number of people ask to be able to export from our app, let's say right here into Altspace or into, VR chat or somewhere else. So yeah, that's all coming. But right now it's, to be honest, it's limited, right? Like we only have so many engineers to build this stuff, and it's super complex. I remember hearing not that long ago, someone was saying VR is deep tech, and deep tech means it's just like really complicated. And I was thinking to myself, like, this is not material science. This is not like robotics or sending spaceships to Mars, right? But it is software. So that was my standpoint. It's like, this is software. But actually, the complexity of it is vastly more than like a mobile app or a web app. And yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. But it's really cool doing and seeing things in 3D and designing them that way.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Man, thanks for the question. Thank you guys all for the questions. These are great questions. Happy to answer anything I can help with.
Does anybody have any more questions? Oh, Tina, you raised your hand again? Yep. Go ahead.
And I want to follow up on that because you talk about the experience being multi-platform and looking down, let's say 3 to 5 years, right? What's your thoughts on having worlds connect to each other? So, for example, right, someone built something awesome and deep. They want to go to Roberto's world in alt space. What are some of the challenges that you see about connecting worlds in that case?
Yeah, it's a great question, Tino. And I think about this all the time, and there's definitely discussion on it. I think it's a lot more complicated than people can appreciate, primarily because when you think of it as analogous to the web, right? The web is on an open protocol with HTTP, and anyone can create a website on a server and connect to it from any browser. When you think of it analogously like that, the way every sort of metaverse app that we have, say right now AltSpace or Horizon Worlds, the way they work is it's working within an app. And within that app, it has its own rules for what are the physics in my app, what are the behaviors and the controls, and how does it work. And so I think it's going to take longer than people think to connect these things because they all have their individual technologies. I mean, some of them, a lot of them actually are built on Unity, right? So AltSpace is built on Unity, and that's the game engine that makes it easier to build a VR app. So there are easier ways to integrate, but there are more complicated ways of, how the rules, like a good example is like, let's say, people would consider Roblox and Minecraft be metaverses, right? Right now, there's no way to bring your Roblox character into Minecraft, or let's say Fortnite, the same example, right? And so what is the willingness of these other apps and companies? Like, some of them are open, some of them are closed. So I don't know, does Roblox want a Fortnite character or player to appear in Roblox? That might be weird, or to bring a Roblox world into Fortnite. It's like a little weird to think of. So yeah, I guess the question becomes, for it to be interoperable on this sort of open protocol like the web is, how does that evolve? Where does it come from? And again, there's discussions, there's different groups and developers and people working on this. I think it's actually further off than people realize. And the popular ones, like here we are in AltSpace, I don't know how willing they are. And then also, I don't know how they would want to integrate to have, like, imagine a Roblox, it shows up here right now. Like, it's, a totally different app with different controls with, the analogy of having different browsers for the web. Like, I'm on Chrome, you're on Firefox, someone else is on Safari. I don't know how well it holds up. So when I go down that rabbit hole, I get actually a little more confused in seeing the path than clarity. But one of the first areas of it, I think, which is standard, is actually just integrations and API calls. So it's easy for us, not easy, but it's doable for us that we can have an API where you can bring any object into deep, and we can take any world or anything out of deep. But again, you don't see like the current metaverse worlds doing this. Like, I don't see AltSpace. AltSpace has a SDK. They have a way for developers and people to bring some things in. But I don't know that there's ways to export things out. Same with Horizon Worlds. Like, there are still Web 2.0 platforms, even though there's a whole lot of buzz and hype around Web 3, which I think will come. But there's just definitely some friction points there.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I love the discussion. Curious what everyone else thinks.
I have a question that kind of follows that. What do you see is going to be the determining factor between at the time that patients start to merge together? What is it that is it a one company kind of ruling over everybody and then everybody kind of following suit, or is it another format of conjunction in the road?
Yeah, that's sort of the big fear, right? Is like big tech going to be, is one company going to be like trying to own the metaverse? I won't mention any names on that. Or will it be, a consortium of a number of, companies and technologies working together? So yeah, that's the big question. I mean, I'm always curious to hear what other people think and how that might play out. But again, I think for that to happen, there definitely needs to be a lot of cooperation and collaboration among companies and people building this stuff. And you see that a lot in blockchain, especially in open source software, right? Where you just have developers coming together to build things. Yeah, I don't have a good answer, actually. I wish I did. And maybe blockchain will really help to evolve that, because then you can like save these worlds and have the networking and stuff happening off the blockchain. But blockchain tends to be less efficient and more expensive from my non-developer knowledge. If there's a developer here who disagrees, I'd love to hear more about that. But like for instance, for what we're doing, we're running it off of AWS. AWS is like reliable, consistent, like really fast. So I always wonder myself, like, okay, if we were trying to run our app, like saving things into like the Ethereum blockchain, would it be slow? Would people be waiting like, 10 seconds or 2 minutes for like their data to come back out or go back in? Because sometimes it slows down and it's less efficient because you have so many people validating the network. But I'm no expert in that. So, Roberto, I obviously don't have a good answer, because there's definitely more questions here and unknowns in terms of how things will evolve. But yeah, it's a great question. I think we all wonder it.
Yeah, I'm always curious about, will Facebook or Meta control everything? Is Microsoft going to come out and kill it after they fully develop Mesh? And then every other application kind of is either set to win because they went in the right direction, or they were set to fail because somebody won, and all of their work is in another type of language, type of processing system. All these things need to be weighed in at this moment. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things. Well, I mean, it's one of these things where, on the one hand, there will be like multiple winners and successful, technologies and companies building this stuff. So, it's not like there's one app on the smartphone that is like the app. Though there obviously are the top 5 or the top, few social media apps that are maybe the most popular. But there's plenty of room in the ecosystem and use cases and, space for a number of companies or apps or products or worlds or whatever it is, metaverses, to exist. And then on the other hand, yeah, I think of like Flash back in the day. I think Apple basically killed Flash, but I think they did it for a reason, because the technology maybe wasn't good for their standards. So I think that'll happen too. And I kind of wonder this, if you look at the platforms that worlds like Altspace, what would you call this, metaverses or apps like Altspace are built on, basically built on 2 different game engines, one of which is Unity. The other is called Unreal, which is owned by Epic, which is the company that makes Fortnite. And so I also wonder, between those 2 big game engines, if one of those will emerge as sort of the bigger winner. And they both have trade-offs. Unreal has really amazing graphics, but Unity, I think, is a little easier to build on. So yeah, thank you guys for the questions, and thanks for thanks for having me. Thanks for listening, and definitely connect on LinkedIn, and love that chat more. Thank you guys.
Man, thank you, everybody. If we could just give Tom a nice round of applause and thank him for coming. Tom, thank you for prepping everything, and being here and presenting, what Deep is and what you're trying to develop and bring out to awareness. I talked about world building and having the point of the world have a function or some sort of utility. Whether that's to communicate something or to show something off. All these things are going to be, for businesses specifically, we need to think about those things a little bit deeper, because we're not deep, because we're not we're here to have fun, right? And fun is the layer up, but everything we do as businesses have the function. So it is interesting to develop that conversation, and I appreciate you being up here and starting that. I know that our community has a lot to think about when it comes to building out their own world and their own events and so on. Well, Tom, thank you again. I appreciate it, and I'll take the megaphone off of you. It might mute you, so feel free to unmute yourself. And we're gonna take a